The moment my sister told me I was banned from her wedding because I would ruin the mood, something inside me didn't shatter. It went quiet. Dead quiet. And 3 days later, while she was walking down the aisle under crystal chandeliers, I was barefoot on a beach in the Caribbean, watching her fiancé's financial empire start to collapse on my phone. If you love powerful real-life revenge stories like this, make sure you subscribe, because some betrayals deserve to be remembered. My name is Madison Cole, and I was 31 years old when I finally realized being the strong one in the family just meant being the easiest one to erase. The text came on a Tuesday morning. I was sitting at my kitchen table in Portland, sunlight pouring across the wood like any other ordinary day. Olivia's name lit up my phone, and I smiled automatically. I thought it was about bridesmaid dresses or another chaotic update about the seating chart. Instead, it said, "Hey, just a heads up, you're no longer in the bridal party. Julian and I decided to simplify things. We're keeping the energy light and positive. Hope you understand. Hope you understand." I read it 3 times. My coffee went cold in my hand. 3 weeks earlier, I had stood in a boutique in Seattle while she tried on Vera Wang gowns, holding my phone at the perfect angle so her followers could vote. I designed her save-the-date cards. I reorganized the guest list when she panicked about distant cousins. I defended her when people whispered that the engagement felt rushed. And now I was a vibe issue. I typed back, "Got it. Thanks for letting me know." That was it. No call. No explanation. No, "I love you anyway." Just silence. I called my mom. Voicemail. I texted, "Did Olivia talk to you?" 15 minutes later, "Yes. We support her decision. It's her day, Maddie. Try to understand. Try to understand." That phrase followed me my entire life. When I got a full ride to the University of Washington, my parents left my award ceremony early because Olivia had a dance rehearsal. When I got promoted to project manager at my firm, Mom asked if I could help Olivia build her wedding website instead of celebrating. Olivia was the golden child. Emotional. Sensitive. Fragile. I was dependable. Composed. Fine. That night, Daniel found me on the couch with my knees pulled to my chest like I was 10 years old again. "What happened?" he asked softly. I handed him my phone. He read the message, and his jaw tightened. "She cut you out?" Just like that. "She wants a more positive vibe," I said, trying to sound amused. "Apparently I don't qualify." He didn't laugh. He pulled me into his chest and held me there until my breathing steadied. "Do you want to sit here while they celebrate without you?" he asked after a while. "Or do you want to leave?" "Leave. Let's go somewhere. Somewhere with no wedding hashtags. No chandeliers. Just you and me." I blinked at him. Like a trip. He was already reaching for his laptop. Caribbean. Antigua. St. Lucia. Somewhere blue and quiet. I should have felt like I was running away. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. "Can we leave this week?" I asked. He looked at me like the answer was obvious. "We can leave Friday." So I packed linen dresses instead of formal gowns. Swimsuits instead of heels. Books instead of mascara palettes. I sent one simple message to my parents. "I'll be away for a while. Please respect my space." No drama. No confrontation. Just distance. At the airport, before sunrise, I kept waiting for guilt to hit me. It didn't. When the plane lifted off, Portland disappeared beneath a blanket of gray clouds, and I didn't cry. I just watched until it looked small. Antigua felt like stepping into a different life. The air was thick with salt and hibiscus. Our villa sat on a bluff overlooking endless blue water. No neighbors. No noise. Just waves brushing the shore like a steady heartbeat. That first night, we ate grilled fish with our hands on the terrace. We didn't mention Olivia. We didn't mention the wedding. Daniel wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "This place is for healing, not escaping. Healing." I wanted to believe him. But even paradise doesn't silence history. The second morning, I tried doing yoga on the deck facing the ocean. Halfway through, my chest tightened. By the time I folded into child's pose, I was crying into the mat. "I don't know why it still hurts," I whispered. Daniel knelt beside me and held my hand. "Because it's not just about the wedding." He was right. It wasn't just about bridesmaid dresses. It was about being 19 and watching Olivia date the first boy I ever loved after telling me she'd accidentally run into him at a concert. It was about my parents telling me she didn't mean to hurt me, that she was struggling, that I should try to understand. It was about every time I swallowed my anger so she could shine. That afternoon, as we walked barefoot along the shoreline, Daniel said something that stopped me cold. "I haven't told you everything about Julian." I turned to him. "What do you mean?" "A few years ago, I freelanced with a startup he invested in. It burned out fast. There were red flags. Financial ones." My stomach tightened. "Red flags how?" "He pushed for features that blurred the line between investing and gambling. There were rumors about inflated numbers, delayed audits, things that didn't add up." I stared at the horizon, heat rising behind my eyes. "I told my parents something felt off about him," I said quietly. "They said I was jealous." "You weren't jealous," Daniel said firmly. "You were paying attention." The ocean stretched endlessly in front of us, beautiful and calm on the surface. But underneath, currents moved in silence. And 6 months earlier, when my firm had been approached about a potential partnership with Julian's company, Obsidian Capital, I had said no. I hadn't made a scene. I hadn't accused anyone of fraud. I just refused to sign off. Something didn't feel right. My parents called me dramatic. Olivia said I couldn't stand that she'd married up. So I stayed quiet. 3 days into our trip, my phone started buzzing in the middle of the night. Mom. Aunt Rachel. Cousins. I didn't answer. The next morning, Daniel's phone chimed with a news alert. He sat up slowly, face lit by the screen. "Maddie," he said carefully, "you need to see this." The headline filled the display in bold letters. Obsidian Capital under federal investigation. Words like fraud, shell transfers, investor misrepresentation. Julian's name everywhere. I felt the ocean breeze against my skin. I heard the waves. I didn't move, because I had already seen it coming. And this time, I wasn't the one being erased. The first call I answered wasn't from Olivia. It was from my mother. Her voice sounded tight, controlled, like she was trying to keep a lid on boiling water. "Madison, whatever you're seeing online, we need to stay calm. Don't comment. Don't post. This will pass if we handle it correctly. Handle it correctly." Julian was under federal investigation for fraud. Investors were frozen out of millions. Reporters were digging through shell accounts like raccoons in trash bags. And my mother was worried about optics. "Is Olivia safe?" I asked quietly. A pause. "She's overwhelmed. This is very hard on her. Not is she safe. Not he lied to us. Just overwhelmed." I closed my eyes and leaned back against the terrace wall. "Mom, I told you 6 months ago something wasn't right. You were speculating," she snapped. "Now is not the time for 'I told you so.'" There it was. The old script. I was bitter, dramatic, competitive. Except this time I had receipts. After we hung up, I opened my laptop. My cloud storage pulled up years of folders. Contracts, due diligence reports, risk assessments. And then I found it. Obsidian Capital, preliminary review. Page 12. Julian Harper listed as a key financial backer. I scrolled down to my notes, and my chest tightened as I read my own words from months earlier. Unverified valuation claims. Inconsistent liquidity disclosures. Recommend withdrawal until independent audit is completed. I had flagged it. I had documented it. And I had refused to sign. 6 months ago, when my managing director asked why I was hesitating, I'd said, "Something doesn't add up." He'd leaned back in his chair and said, "Don't let personal feelings cloud professional judgment." Personal feelings. Because they all knew Julian was engaged to my sister. I remember driving home that night, gripping the steering wheel so tight my hands hurt, whispering to myself, "You're not crazy. You're not jealous. You're not crazy." And I still said no. Back in Antigua, Daniel sat across from me as I reread the email now sitting in my inbox. SEC inquiry, clarification requested. They wanted to know why I declined involvement. Whether I had concerns at the time. Whether I'd be willing to provide documentation. My heart pounded, but not with fear. With vindication. "This is it," Daniel said gently. This is your line in the sand. For a moment, I imagined forwarding my old warning email to my parents with one sentence attached. Still think I was jealous? I imagined sending it to Olivia, posting it publicly, letting everyone see I was the only one who saw through him. But revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a signature. I replied to the SEC with a full account. Dates, concerns, screenshots of my internal notes. I attached the memo recommending withdrawal. I stated clearly that my refusal was based on ethical red flags, not personal bias. My hands were steady when I hit send. I didn't need to scream. The truth would do that for me. 2 days later, my father called. His voice sounded older, smaller. Maddie, I read the report. Your name is mentioned. They said you flagged irregularities. Yes, I said simply. Silence. I should have listened to you, he finally admitted. That sentence hit harder than any apology. I wasn't trying to ruin her happiness, I whispered. I was trying to protect her. I know that now. It wasn't dramatic. He didn't cry, but something shifted. For the first time in my life, my father sounded like he saw me. That night, Olivia asked to video call. Her face filled the screen, swollen eyes, mascara gone. No spotlight. No performance. You were right, she said immediately. No excuses. No deflection. About him. About everything. I swallowed. I had imagined this moment for years. In every version, I felt powerful, triumphant. Instead, I felt tired. I didn't want to be right, I told her. I wanted you to be safe. She broke then, covering her mouth as she cried. I thought you just didn't want me to have something bigger than you. The words stung, even now. I never wanted bigger, I said quietly. I wanted equal. Silence stretched between us. I erased you, she whispered. From the wedding. From everything. Because it was easier than admitting you saw what I didn't. That was the gut punch. Not the wedding band. Not the headlines. She knew. Some part of her had known I wasn't wrong, and cutting me out was easier than confronting that. I can't fix what I did, she said. But I'm not defending him anymore. I gave my statement. I told them everything. And just like that, the golden child chose truth over image. That was the turning point. When we flew back to Portland a week later, the air felt different. Colder. Clearer. Julian had resigned publicly. Assets frozen. Investors suing. The wedding photos were quietly deleted from social media. But I didn't walk into my parents' house looking for revenge. I walked in knowing I didn't need it anymore. Dinner was stiff at first. My mom avoided my eyes. My dad cleared his throat too often. Olivia sat across from me, hands folded like she was waiting for a verdict. Halfway through the meal, my mother finally spoke. We thought you were strong enough not to need protection, she said. We leaned on you because you never fell apart. I fell apart, I replied softly. I just did it alone. That landed. No yelling. No drama. Just truth. Olivia reached across the table. I don't want you erased anymore. I won't be, I said. Not as a threat. As a promise. The justice wasn't watching Julian fall. It was watching my family finally face themselves. Months later, I hosted Thanksgiving at my place. My name on the invitation. My table. My rules. Olivia brought a homemade pie. My father asked my opinion about a financial article he'd read. My mother thanked me for hosting, for showing up, for speaking. And when we sat down to eat, I realized something powerful. I didn't lose a seat at her wedding. I built my own table. I didn't get revenge. I got recognition. And sometimes that's louder than any scandal. If you've ever been erased, overlooked, or called too sensitive for telling the truth, don't shrink. Don't silence yourself. Stand steady. Document everything. And when the tide turns, and it will, you won't need to shout. You'll just need to stand. If this story moved you, subscribe, because some betrayals don't break us. They reveal us.